I'm not too sure why Rodney, his hand is in his head is in his hand, because he should be happy seeing that Argentina just somehow managed to make it in.
Just somehow managed.
Somehow managed, because for a minute it seemed as though it seemed as though Argentina had no room in the knockout round of the World Cup.
Yeah.
But they've done it somehow or the other. Argentina 2, Nigeria 1, and that victory against Nigeria has ensured Argentina a spot in the knockout round. Rodney Lahi is here with me, Sarah Chando as well. Rodney is probably the only Argentine supporter in the office. He's wearing his colours today somewhat. Something
Sort of.
so.
A variation.
A variation of the colour.
A mix of white and blue.
However, Rodney is, like I said, the biggest Argentine supporter that I know. And I can see Carissa there. She's waving 4 Argentine flags in your favour,
Yes,
Rodney.
exactly.
Talk us through your feelings ahead of the game today.
Ahead of the game today, I don't think that we would have won this game if I say we as Argentina, we would not have won this game if we went into this game with the same game plan as before. Game 1 and game 2, no. In fact, going into the World Cup, I didn't have high hopes. It's still my side, but I didn't have too much high hopes because defensively, we lacked a lot. Yeah, we did. Even in the midfield. But a lot of people wouldn't see that. On the face of things, they would see Argentina. One is a big name, so it's always going to be Argentina, as in synonymous with Brazil, Germany, and other big names. So the name Argentina in itself brings a certain expectation. Secondly, you have Messi, you have Higuain, Di Maria, Aguero. These names, among other names, would also add a certain value to the team. But when you really look at the side, those are just strikers. Those are just forwards. In the midfield and defense, you really don't have anyone. Out of those big names, you have 2, maybe 3 of them that are going to play at the same time on the field. So, all in all, Argentina did not have a good side. They didn't. And it showed against Iceland, it showed against Croatia so badly. And in this game, a lot of changes were made.
A lot of changes.
When I saw the lineup, I was happy. When I saw this formation, I was happy because I knew that something could have come out of it. The only thing that I wasn't happy with, that you all know, would be Higuain up top. I have no support for Higuain whatsoever.
He has been complaining since before the World Cup started. Since 2014, that World Cup, he has been complaining about Higuain, and rightly so, because he is a striker that, yes, he might score, as I told Rodney, but as Sarah knows, he misses many chances. And in crunch games, you don't necessarily get 10 chances to score and score 1 goal. So that was a change that Rodney wanted to see. I wanted to see it myself. I thought perhaps mid-game they would have made a switch of bring Aguero or Dybala on. That didn't happen. However, it ended 2-1 in their favour. Marcus Rojo scored that winning goal in the dying stages of the match. I was actually calling it. Rodney, myself, Sarah, Amrit, and almost the entire office was standing up watching this game. And we had, it was just about 5 minutes again left. And I called it. I said that someone is going to step up in the last 5 minutes and score. And so it happened. Marcus Rojo scoring. A lot of Manchester United and former Manchester United players are
you just have to spice that in for no reason.
Stepping up in this World Cup. I'm not too sure why.
It's good to see the Man U players.
Isn't even a Manchester United fan, so
but it's good to see the Man U players actually perform this time.
They did. And of course, Victor Moses scored a consolation for
well, it wasn't a consolation, it was a leveler.
It was a leveler, but it turned out to be a consolation.
Well, that was the goal that made the game a game, because after that, Argentina had to come out with something spectacular in order to take the game away from Nigeria, because of course they had a failed appeal for another penalty. They also had their own chances, so something had to be done. Nigeria, if they had held on for the draw, they would have gone through, of course, because Croatia ended up winning their game against Iceland. So it made it a true competitive game.
And talking about that game against Iceland, Croatia came away 2-1 winners, and Ivan Perisic as well as Milan Badelj, they scored the 2 goals for the Croatians. Iceland as well getting that 1 goal, but it was not enough. Personally, Rodney and Sarah, I wanted to see Iceland do better in this World Cup, simply because, like Sarah has been saying throughout this entire series, we were in that same position at one point, being the smallest nation to be in the World Cup and having that sort of weight on our shoulders as a nation. So, but still well done by Iceland. They still played very good football, and I know that for Icelandic football is only up they can go from here.
They did well. They actually did pretty well. I mean, results are one thing, but they show they have grit, they have determination. 2-1 against Croatia, drawing against Argentina. They lost against Nigeria, but that's not necessarily because Nigeria may have more experience. Style Nigeria plays, which opened up Iceland.
Yeah.
But Iceland did pretty well.
And Nigeria as well would have been an opponent that Iceland would not be very familiar with. Two totally different confederations of football meeting in this World Cup. And Croatia, as Sharda is saying here, and as Sarah has been saying, and I'll let her explain a little more why she thinks that, is not necessarily an underdog team. They have come out on top of this group, but we've been discussing it, and they're not necessarily your typical underdog. They're not really an underdog.
They are what I would say Belgium has been for past tournaments. They have strong players, they have a strong team. It's just for them to live up to their potential. They have Luka Modric, they have Ivan Perisic, they have Ivan Rakitic, they have Mario Mandzukic. All the
Lovren even in the defense.
Yes, they have Lovren as well. They have strong players. It's just a matter of the players clicking at the right time, which they've done so far in this tournament. And I've always been a fan of Luka Modric. I think he is one of the most underrated players. I know a lot of people say he is one of the best, but I think he doesn't get as much credit as he should, seeing the kind of player he is and what he brings to Real Madrid and Croatia.
I think that's because of the fact that you have so much around him happening in Real Madrid.
But
Luka Modric is a world-class player. Yes. But back to what you were saying about Argentina, back to that original point, right?
Yeah. Final thoughts from Rodney, because if this video goes on for an hour, it's because Rodney keeps going back to Argentina. Fair point though.
No, I was talking about the changes, and someone commented that Argentina came to the game today and they actually is a different.
It was a different showing.
But because the starting 11 was different, and it goes back to what I say about the lineup. You have Banega in the middle. You have Mascherano playing not in defense but up on the top of the defense. Rojo, who didn't start in any game at all, he added that extra width to the defense. It still begged for some more, but it was still better than before.
I think another good change that could have been made is to remove Messi from that sort of holding role that he was playing in, because that now makes him depend on a lot of good service, which he did get with that opening goal. But it's not going to come all the time, as Rodney has been saying. It's not going to come over and over because of the team that Argentina has fielded. What should have been done and what should be done for the knockout round as they go forward, I don't know if Sarah will agree, is move Messi out to his preferred position on that right flank, give him the space to run instead of having Enzo Perez running up and down that flank and trying to feed Messi and trying to feed Higuain. Maybe if Messi is out on that right flank as he's accustomed being,
the game would widen.
Well, just a point to note, the goal that Messi did get, he got it running up the side.
That is my point.
So that is it, because he had the space to move and he was able to bypass.
Well, that's one, right? But I was harping this for the last few weeks. Messi is a world-class player, but you can't expect him to always do things on his own. And it goes back to the point again, there's nothing really happening in that cog in midfield. But look at the ball that Banega sent for Messi to score. It wasn't a tap-in, it wasn't a header, it wasn't an easy goal. But the fact that Banega created something, he sent a cross-field cross to Messi, who then, I mean,
was a wonderful touch.
Slapping on his thigh, bringing it down, beating the defender and scoring. That's what Messi needs to create chances, and also that's what Aguero would make as opposed to Higuain. Goal against Iceland. Yeah. Look at Aguero's goal against Iceland. He created something from nothing.
Well, Rodney, I want to have your thoughts just now, but first, before we talk about the knockout stage, of course, they are going to face a very tough team, but right. What happened in the action earlier today? Right,
so there's another group that actually played football today, just in case you didn't realize, with all the Argentine supporters that would have been glued to the TVs.
Group C action.
There was some action in Group C, and that would have been Denmark and France, and Australia and Peru. Denmark and France played out to a 0-0 draw, ensuring that they both go through to the next round of this tournament, making the Australia-Peru match really a dead rubber. However, it was an entertaining fixture nonetheless, with Peru coming out 2-0 winners over the Australians. Australia are by no means a small, team to walk over. They have been playing football for a long time, and if you look at the build of the Australian players, they're very physical, and that makes it extremely difficult for teams to play. What I think Peru had in terms of an advantage is being a South American nation or being a Latin American nation. They would have had the quick running, quick passing that you would see from these Latin American countries.
Speed is definitely something that Peru has. Remember two things as well. Peru came out of a South American group, CONMEBOL. They played Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, all of those big names, and they qualified for the World Cup ahead of teams that are equally as good, but they showed up on the day. The next thing is they qualified with a playoff, and they played New Zealand, which is familiar territory, Australia.
Yeah.
So even though it's two different teams, New Zealand and Australia may have the same kind of style and the same sort of approach to the game. That's why, and Peru beat them 2-0 as well.
Yeah, and as we move on to talking about what is about to happen in terms of the knockout round for both these teams, just before we do that, I just want to say hello to all of you who have joined us on this live video. See Sharon as well as Ramona Singh, they're saying hello to you all, and hello to all who are watching this live video. Remember, you can send us your thoughts via the comments and we can respond to them to suit. Sarah, what's going on in terms of knockout action for these teams that we just spoke about?
Okay, so Argentina is actually going to be playing on the first day of the round of 16 knockout games. That's on the 30th, that's the Saturday, the first knockout game. They are playing France, so a tough competitor in France. France technically is unbeaten so far. They've won 2 games, drawn 1 game, and they were one of the favorites, not the top favorite, but one of the favorites to take home this World Cup this year, so they definitely have their work cut out. Rodney, what do you think they need to do in order to take on France?
Well, to begin with, France has a formidable team on paper. They haven't really come to the party as yet. They've drawn 0-0 with Denmark, was it this morning?
Denmark.
Right.
It's Amrit Maharaj, in case any of you are wondering who's that in the corner of the screen there.
Wow, that is
that guy
freaky.
there.
Yeah. So they played Denmark, they drew 0-0. Denmark is a good side, but with the French team on paper, they should be performing better than they are. It's like Belgium a couple of years ago. So France may not be clicking, but who knows? Second round, things might happen. So on paper, if you're looking at it, if you're, let's say, going to play FIFA with this Argentine against this French side, the French team is way better than Argentina.
Well, if I could say, one would think that, okay, the French and the Danish were already through to the next round, right? So both went into this game knowing that they were already going through. Maybe it's a case of they didn't have any real reason to press and just fight it out to the end like how Argentina had to do.
Which is sad, that's one. But the second thing is that they went into the game with a B-side. France rested their keeper, Hugo Lloris, they rested Varane, I think. They rested the other, his name escapes me, one of the defenders. Many of the players got rotated, names I didn't even hear about before. But the point is they didn't play, they played a weak side, just like Croatia did, and Croatia still won. So that's one, yes, their mindset towards the game was different. But if Argentina have to go to this game with France, firstly, their defense needs to buck up. Today they did well. The goal they gave away was a penalty, which should not have happened, but it did. Man to man, they don't have the skill to go man to man against this French team. So they would need to study the French style of play, the counter-attacking style.
Defend a bit zonally.
Right. France has a top-notch defense on paper again, but they were penetrated by Australia. So that says something.
Do you think though that having Messi in his preferred position and then bringing Aguero in to supplement, maybe at the expense of Higuain, and maybe even bringing in Dybala early on in the game, be it in the 60th minute mark or something, do you think those changes might actually make an impact against the French?
Those changes may make an impact attacking wise, but you still need to have a cog in the middle, in the midfield. Who is the man in the middle who really calls the shots, literally and figuratively, in the game? I think Banega would be the man. There is nobody else.
He played very well today.
Banega is the man. He's the one who provided the cross to Messi today. So he would need to step up. He's not that world-class player, to be in all honesty, but he needs to step up and he needs to really come to the party now and say, this is what my role is. And so Mascherano would have been him as well, but Mascherano's past his prime. And he needs to fall back a little bit on defense because the defense needs it too.
And in case anyone is wondering why this video is labeled Argentine Blood, Sweat and Tears, is because that is all of the things that came in this game. Mascherano was bleeding for a good portion of the game. Argentine fans were crying their hearts out throughout the entire match, including Rodney Lackey. He had to go wash his face in the washroom. He was
screaming internally.
He had to wash his face in the washroom before he came to do this video because he didn't want to, make it seem so obvious. And it was a lot of sweat on the part of these players who had to work their shoes off, work their socks off, and really make sure that they're worth their socks in this
But
game.
Nigeria, I was telling you all as well, if it was any other team Nigeria were playing, I would be rooting for them. They did really well. And but I was so wrong. I was so wrong in the beginning of this World Cup. I honestly thought this was going to be not the
Straightforward,
best,
just bland
but
kind of World Cup.
honestly, all of the small teams are really giving it all. And we saw it yesterday with Spain and Morocco and Iran as well. And this World Cup is going to be one of the best.
What's that other?
Right,
knockout
so
game?
of course action today. Croatia finished at the top of the group and they are going to be taking on Denmark. First place takes on second place from the neighboring group. So Croatia and Denmark, they are playing on Sunday, but just to remind you, the second knockout game to be played on Saturday itself is Uruguay versus Portugal. That was decided yesterday, and the first game on Sunday is Spain versus Russia. Now tomorrow, the Germans, every sort of fans have their own day to be anxious to have close to a cardiac arrest. Tomorrow is my day. Germany needs to win and win handsomely against South Korea in order to put their place beyond question. Of course, a number of scenarios could work out in this particular group. Don't watch me like that.
I think we all need to do individual medical checkups after these few games that went by, because I had a mini heart attack with Spain the other day. Rodney was in a bit of pain today, and Sarah, I'm not too sure what's going to happen with you, but
it's actually not that bad with me, because when people hear that I'm a German supporter, they think it's because we won the World Cup last 4 years. I've actually been supporting Germany since I was 12 years old.
Which is 45
I've been
years
supporting Germany for literally more than half my life now. I've made bets against my dad, lost them. I've seen Germany go out early in Euros. I've been supporting them through all that. So, the stress is something I've gotten accustomed to. But I mean, it's not easy as a supporter. We went through this with Soca Warriors in qualifying this year. Ryan and I were near tears on some occasions. Him more than me. Because you are actually at the games when they...
And I am actually a Trinidad and Tobago football fan.
Yes.
We should all be.
Which we should all be, but it is difficult to support teams in their tough times.
No,
but
I think it's the same thing, win or lose, you
that's
support
what
your team.
exactly. And that's what Sarah has been. Rodney as well. I remember many times Argentina weren't doing well, and Rodney was there just sitting quietly in his own corner, of course, but still supporting.
Taking talks.
It's the same thing with me with Spain. I was ready yesterday to deal with any old talk that I had to deal with for if Spain weren't part of the World Cup. But it is what it is. Let's take it all in stride, Sarah. So that's a wrap for the knockout games. Tell us a bit about the games to come in terms of group games.
Okay, so of course tomorrow Mexico will be playing Sweden. South Korea is taking on Germany. Those two games are happening simultaneously at 10 a.m. And then in the evening, Group E action, Switzerland takes on Costa Rica and Serbia is going to be playing Brazil. Those two games happen simultaneously at 2 p.m. Now this is how it stands in Group, let's go to Group F first of all, since those games are being played first. Mexico tops the group with 6 points, Germany is on 3 points, Sweden on 3 points, Korea, they have no points. Now there is the possibility that 3 teams could end up on 6 points, that is if Mexico loses its game to Sweden and Germany wins against Korea. Sweden, Germany and Mexico will end up on 6 points each.
That group is wide open.
But it could also be where 3 teams end up on 3 points. Because if Korea beats
Germany, yes, they'll end
Sweden win.
And Sweden loses against Mexico, yeah. So this group is
wide open. It's there for the taking for anyone who wants to grab that second spot.
Yes. But since it could come down to head-to-head in particular, Germany can't afford to end up in that situation because their head-to-head against Mexico would work against them. But then they could go through based on their head-to-head against Sweden. So it's a very delicately poised group. So the best thing to do is to win and win big. So if it comes down to goal difference, which it should, first of all, before they go to head-to-head records, having that clear goal difference in your favor will make all the difference.
I think Germany will win based on something.
There's a man called Son playing for South Korea. I'm afraid of him.
It's not anybody's son. Just in case you're wondering, his name is Heung-min Son.
Right.
His name is actually Son.
He plays for Tottenham Hotspur. We followed him during the EPL season this year. He didn't get many starts for Tottenham, but the games that he did start, he was definitely a threat.
Well, I think Germany will win, and that doesn't discredit South Korea.
South Korea by any means.
But Germany have a winning mentality. They know how to come back from the dark come back from situations.
Finishing remains a problem
from
this
very,
season, I think.
From very unflattering situations. One, a lot of their players play together, so they're familiar. It's in Europe they're playing, so they're familiar again. But Germany has the grit and they have the determination to really, not just to grind out a victory, but to put together a victory in terms of a team performance. I think they will win.
Tell us your thoughts. All of you who are looking on at this video, tell us your thoughts. Do you think Germany would actually make it through and go on to the next round? Do you think there'll be an upset in the works? We'll go through the other games, but tell us what you think about that game. That game in particular will be a big one because, of course, defending champions, they need to step up and play some good football and get past South Koreans. But do you think that's going to happen? Sarah, what's up with the other games as well?
Okay, Group E matches, as I said before, Switzerland takes on Costa Rica, Serbia takes on Brazil. Now, this group is very, 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 very tight. Brazil is currently first based on goal difference with 4 points. Switzerland is on 4 points as well. Serbia 3 points, Costa Rica 0. Now, of course, everybody has everything to play for in this game. The only possibilities for advancing though lie with Brazil, Switzerland and Serbia right now, because of the fact that two teams are already on 4 points. So it does not matter if Costa Rica manages to win, they will end up on 3 and they will still have less than Brazil and Switzerland. But I think Brazil will still have a tough game on their hands.
And
they
Neymar
are taking
will, and
on
Neymar
Serbia.
will fall down. And Neymar will fall down and roll around.
He did. Not during the game, remember the earthquake that we had a few days ago?
He fell.
He was in Russia and I heard he fall.
He did.
So the running joke is that Neymar somehow always hits the ground.
Every single game,
You're running on lap there.
every single game, there is at least one instance where he falls without anything happening to him. I think what happens is that his muscles are so tired that it just, his whole leg just collapses.
It's hard work.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
Don't be like that.
Neymar is the Hindustani word for weak legs.
Yeah, exactly. So Sarah, when she recovers, will tell us about the remaining games. That joke really wasn't that funny, but
It really was funny. I love it.
what's the other game? So it's Brazil versus Serbia.
Right, Brazil versus Serbia
Brazil,
and
of course,
Costa Rica versus Switzerland. Now,
Yeah.
the Swiss, they are a top 10 ranked team. But do you think we've seen the best of them in this World Cup so far? Of course, there was trouble with a couple of the players using certain political celebrations. They were almost banned, but I believe they were instead fined.
Over the
That
last 10
was
years,
Sudan Shaqiri, Granit Xhaka, and Stefan Lichtsteiner.
yeah, but over the last 10 years, Switzerland has built a good squad.
Yeah.
I think we have seen the best of the Swiss, to be honest. They've played at their best. They're not right up there with Germany in terms of quality, but on their day, they can really.
But then, if we've seen the best of them, do you really think then that they've been playing like a top 10 team, a top 10 in the world? I personally, I don't think so.
No, but the FIFA rankings right now don't really base too much on the last 5 years. It's more recent, also.
Yeah.
So it all depends on if you grind out results as opposed to how well you do on the field without those results.
And then, I mean, when you get to the World Cup, it's another ball game. You're in an unfamiliar territory, i.e. Russia. For most of these players, it's not known territory. There are a few players in the World Cup who are playing in Russia or have played in Russia at one point or the other in their career. But for most of them, it's unfamiliar territory.
Yeah.
So it's Serbia and Brazil, Costa Rica and
Switzerland.
That's the games that are on. And of course, join us as you have been doing so far throughout this entire series as we continue to bring you all the wrap-up and all the jokes and all the sorrows of football in general. We'll bring you more as Amrit comes in and says hi for the fifth time throughout this video. I think he's interested in making some cameos. I think what we'll do one day is just probably bring him in
Amrit, who
as
do you
star.
support?
Who do you support, Amrit?
Amrit's team is Italy, that's why he's known. Not
West Indies.
Amrit supports West Indies. He's the third person so far throughout this series to say that he supports West Indies football team. Rodney's again has his head in his hand, but there's actually a West Indies football team. There really is.
There's an Italy football team.
There should be.
There
There is one. You could probably make the World Cup.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. But as we wrap up, all I'd like to say is that it has gone back to being sort of a normal or usual day in sport. Sarah was looking at me sideways when I made the joke earlier on, but I'll make it anyway because it's all in good fun.
No.
Wait, a disclaimer. I detach myself from Rye's comments. Rye's comments are not those of 103 FM.
Or Rodney Ilahi in particular.
Or Sarah Chandu.
Or Sarah Chandu.
Yes.
It's gone back to being a normal day where the West Indies have lost a test match and Argentina have gone back to winning ways. We'll see what happens as this series goes on. That's it for Just Kicking It. Thank you very much for joining us from Sarah, Rodney, and myself, Rai Rukumas, and Amrit Maharaj.